The polling tells us that the other candidates have a lot of freaking work to do. I mean, Michigan, Trump 61%. Are you kidding me? DeSantis is 13. That's the next closest. Everyone else is at like under 5%. You got a lot of work to do. So I want to talk about the categories that I have for the candidates. Okay. I want to talk about what's going to go on with them, some of the people. And there are people who are running, by the way, that I haven't mentioned yet. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, actually, I probably am mistaken because there's probably too many and some are probably nobodies. But I believe I have all of the people who are running for the Republican nomination here. So I want to give credit where credit is due because they are running. I'm not trying to be like the media who don't even give a single word to people who are literally running for president. But at the same time, if they have no vote, it's like, I don't know. We can't spend all the time talking about people who don't matter. Anyway, I have some categories for these candidates. I'm going to bring them up. First, we have the Dunzos. The Dunzos are, this is kind of like an award show here. The award of Dunzo goes to, first, Larry Elder. If you don't know who Larry Elder is, he actually gave Gavin Newsom a run for his money in California. It was kind of exciting there for a second. Used to do radio. Anyway, he's not going to, and let me say this really quick. The reason why these people are in the Dunzo category is because they have not qualified for the debate. A reminder to you, if you didn't know this, in order to qualify for this first Republican debate, you've got to have 40,000 unique donors and at least 1% of the vote. And by a campaigning standpoint, those numbers are not crazy, to be honest. So the fact that they haven't gotten there really shows that they just have no shot and people really don't give a crap what they have to say. That's just me being honest, okay? I like Larry Elder. I like some of these other people. This is just the reality of the situation. Okay, Larry Elder, he's in the Dunzo category. Francis Suarez, he is the mayor of Miami. No one really knows who he is, okay? Dunzo. Asa Hutchinson. People do know who Asa Hutchinson is, but he has not reached the donor limit, 40,000. I don't know if he will. He claims he will, but people, of course, have to claim they will. I hear more about him than these other Dunzos, but I still don't think he has enough support. So he's in the Dunzo category for me for that reason. We have Perry Johnson and Will Hurd is, sorry, let me bring him up separately. Perry Johnson, he's a businessman, never heard of him, Dunzo. Will Hurd, congressman, never heard of him really. I mean, I've heard of him, but he's never really done anything that would put him on a national scale to run for president. So Dunzo, in my opinion, hasn't met the $40,000 or the 40,000 donors as well as the 1% in polling. Okay, now you may have noticed that I left one person out. This is Mike Pence. Mike Pence has not reached it either, but I'm going to save him for the next category because he was a vice president and his situation is slightly different. Despite the fact that he hasn't hit the 40,000 donors yet, he's polling well above 1%, which is the reason why he's going to the next category, which is the losers. Not the Dunzos. Dunzos are like done. These next guys are losers because they're going to lose. And some of them have already lost quite a bit. This includes Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, Chris Christie, and Doug Burgum. Mike Pence is a loser because he is literally attacking, as I'll talk about more, he's attacking the Trump base, but the non-Trump base are, like the neutral Trump base are with DeSantis, and the hate Trump base are mostly with Chris Christie. So Mike Pence literally just has no base. Like, he's attacking this huge group of Republicans and their leader, and he's expecting to win the Republican nominee? That doesn't make any sense. Same with Chris Christie, by the way. That's why he's a loser. The other candidates who aren't like massive fans of Trump, of course, they're running against him. They just don't say bad things about him, which is really smart when he has 61% of the freaking vote that you're trying to win. Nikki Haley's a loser. Tim Scott's a loser. The reason why they're losers is not because they're not good people and good politicians. They are. In fact, I really like Nikki Haley, and I really like Tim Scott for that matter. So this isn't like some personal, vendetta against either of them. The reason why they're in the loser category is because they're not distinguishable. They don't have their own brand. Like, they're good and they did a good job in government. Frankly, they probably did a better job in government than a lot of the people who are not in the loser category because of the fact that you didn't hear about them so much. Like, you knew who they were because they had a lot of support from Republicans, but you didn't hear about these like groundbreaking scandals or like the way they fought the left in this crazy way. And honestly, I think that's a plus in a lot of ways, just to give them some credit, because it means that they're not so self-centered that everything had to be about them. They were just governing well, right? That's how politics used to be back in like the early 1900s, 1800s. You didn't have to hear about politics every single second and get it slammed down your throat. That's not a thing anymore. But anyway, they're in the loser category because they're not distinguishable enough. It's a sad reality of American politics today. It is what it is. Sorry, guys. Next one, Doug Burgum. Probably not even saying his name right. The reason why is because he is truly a nobody. He honestly deserves to be in the dunzo category, but to his credit, he did something kind of savvy to get himself into the loser category, which is that he actually hit 40,000 unique donors. I don't believe he's hit 1% polling. It might depend on the poll, so he may be on the debate stage. I'm actually not sure about that. I think he might be. But for those of you who didn't know, the reason why he was able to get 40,000 unique voters is because he asked people to give him $1, which $1 is just, that counts as a unique donation. And then he's self-funding it because he's a businessman. He's got a lot of money. He basically said, if you donate $1, I'll give you a $20 gift card. So he essentially paid his way to get 40,000 unique donors, which is like, fine. If he doesn't need the money to campaign, I guess he doesn't need the money. But you can't fake support. Like, I understand that he wants to hit the Republican debate stage so that he can, boost himself in that way, and prove to the donors and the voters that he's got what it takes to be president. But at some point, if you can't even get 1% of the vote and 40,000 unique donors, is the hierarchy and the organization of your campaign really prepared to face off against Donald Trump? I think that was a waste of money on his part. I don't know how he possibly believes that he was going to actually garner enough support after having to pay people to support him. That's just a bad sign overall as a politician. The next up, okay, so that we got two categories so far. We have a third category and then kind of another category, but kind of not at the same time. The next group is the big boys. Okay, we got the dunzos, we got the losers, we got the big boys. The big boys are twofold. We have Trump, we have DeSantis. They are big. DeSantis has the opportunity. This is something that people have not talked about a lot, and it's got to be talked about, guys. DeSantis has the opportunity to absorb all the losers and all the dunzos. Let me say that again. If he can get on the debate stage and prove to everyone else that he is really distinguished himself from Trump, but also, most importantly, from Nikki Haley and Mike Pence and Tim Scott, they will have to start dropping out as time goes on, depending on where they endorse. We know like Chris Christie and Mike Pence are going to lose. They're not going to endorse Donald Trump. Who are they going to endorse then? It's going to be Ron DeSantis. So if he can absorb all of their vote, he may begin to be competitive. Let's go back to the Iowa poll. New York Times reports that Iowa, Trump had 44% of the vote. Okay, big numbers here. Now, my question for people is this. If you like Trump, are you going to vote for Trump or are you going to vote for Nikki Haley? You're going to vote for Trump pretty much every time. People who already like Trump are just voting for Trump. Now, if you are a Republican and you don't love Trump, who are you going to vote for? You have a lot of candidates to choose from. Maybe you like Ron DeSantis, you vote for him. Maybe you really like Nikki Haley, so you decide, I'm going to vote for Nikki Haley. You have a lot to choose from, and you do, okay? That's why the polling is the way it is. It's got a decent spread at the bottom between Mike Pence, Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, etc. But once those candidates start to drop out, who are you going to support? Donald Trump or any other candidate who's still in? I'm guessing you're going to support any candidate who's still in because you would have already supported Trump. It's Trump and all the other people, for the most part. So what I'm saying is that DeSantis, once people start dropping out, which I have a really hard time believing that DeSantis is going to drop out before other people. Once they start to drop out, he is going to absorb the losers and the dunzos. If you add up all the losers and dunzos and add it to DeSantis' number in Iowa, DeSantis suddenly has 37% of the vote and Donald Trump has 44%. Now that's competitive.